Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Creationship Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Creationship Podcast. Today I have an amazing interview for you in English with a guy that I met in a seminar last year in Tulum, Mexico. So Leo Waltman is a serial entrepreneur. He is originally from Holland, but moved to Mexico 15 years ago. And he shared such an inspiring story with us at the seminar that I had to ask him that to become one of my guests in the podcast. So in this interview, we talk about different roadblocks, about how to make it in another country, how to overcome obstacles, and how every roadblock is a gift for you to evolve and to grow. So we recorded this interview 1 or 2 months ago in Tulum. So I hope you really enjoy it. Put your notebook next to it, take a lot of notes. It's very inspiring. We also talk about relationships, how that influences you in your business journey as an entrepreneur. So it's a very holistic, very funny, very inspiring interview, and I wish you a lot of insights with it. So a very warm welcome. Thank you so much for being here, Leo, to the Creationship Podcast. And I'm so excited to talk to you today about your entrepreneurial journey, about all the insights, all your life learnings that you shared last year with us at a great workshop in Tulum. That's also why I asked you to be here today. So very welcome, and I'm very excited.
Okay, danke schön. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I already talked in the introduction about you and your journey, what you do, what your business is, but maybe you can take us a little back to the time when you came to Mexico. So when was that exactly?
15 years ago.
15 years ago,
Yeah.
okay. Can you take us back into the moment? What happened at that time? Why did you go to Mexico? How did you ground yourself here? And what happened afterwards? Because I think the story is just so amazing and inspiring, and everybody needs to hear that.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, first of all, when I say thank you very much for inviting me for this podcast, I truly mean thank you very much, because I meet a lot of people, and what I noticed from the two of you is that it was pure and real. You're really doing a good job. So again, it's a great pleasure to be on this podcast. Okay. Well, going from Europe to Mexico, I was, of course, way younger. I thought it was because Holland always has a gray sky. You feel locked in your house, and I thought I'm going to work in a place where I really would like to live, and then the work follows. So back in Europe, and I'm sure you know, you live where you have work. Okay, so I thought I'm going to change that. I'm going to live where I want to live, and then the work will follow. And I thought I'm going to pick a sunny place. It was Mexico. At that time, I had a lot of ego and not a lot of knowledge about life. And I truly believe that was the reason I want to work and live where the sun is shining. But like we discussed, at the end, it was the real reason was a reason of freedom. Like back in Europe, we're very organized, and I didn't feel free. Like what I discovered is that we've been raised with very, like we say in Spanish, un visión muy cuadrada. We're not open to possibilities. So when you're raised like that with school, parents, and family, you're basically already living the way other people want you to live. So where is the real Leo? Okay. And I was not able to, the real Leo was not able to get out in Europe. So I needed a break. I needed another spot to discover myself. And I think that is with a lot of people who change spots from Europe or United States and they go to live somewhere else. They are in a stage of life that they cannot discover their real selves because they are created by society. They are created by school and parents and friends. And that's not bad, but it's not your true self with all the possibilities there are within you. So again, the real reason why I left Holland was not the reason that I thought it was.
That's interesting. Yeah. So, what did you do back then? Did you have a corporate job? Were you already an entrepreneur before you left Holland?
Not really. And this is only recently because there's so much peace in my life right now. So now I start to go back in my life, like, why do I do this? Or why did I respond like this? And only recently, I remember that when I was very young, I started to look, even got goose pimples, because I forgot. I started to look for the cassettes of Tony Robbins.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember that my parents, with all respect, and my family, they thought, why would you buy that stuff? You spend money on a guy who's showing you how to walk on fire. They didn't understand me. And I always felt, I went back to those feelings like, this is what I want, but I never explored it more because I was stopped by my environment. So back to the question, were you always an entrepreneur? I truly believe we all are entrepreneurs. If you live what your heart tells you, you're an entrepreneur. I'm very sure that all the listeners and watchers of your podcast, if you ask them, what do you really, really, really want to do? And if people say, I don't know what I want to do, it doesn't matter because it's inside of them. They just need to focus on themselves. But the majority of the people are not doing what they really want to do.
Yeah, I absolutely confirm.
So, so I'm very passionate about it. Was it back to your question? Was I always an entrepreneur? Yes. Did I do it? No. Okay. So, and here in Mexico, I had to because you have to survive. There's no government that gives you money each month to say, hey, you can buy your food and you can pay your rent. Here you have to work to survive. And then you see, when you're in a situation that you have to, the creativity comes out of you, and you're able to do literally everything you want. Yeah.
So what did you then do when you came to Mexico? Because when you were at the speaking day in December, you told a part of your story, what you started, what were your ups and downs. So maybe you can take us a little bit in that story.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't answer that question. So when I came to Mexico, I decided where I want to live, and it became Cozumel Island. Which is a very nice balance between nature and in the tourism industry. So you can make money, but also enjoy the nature. So then I put my last money in an idea that didn't work out at all.
So what idea was that?
It was, it's a very stupid idea. There's a lot of cruise ships in Cozumel, and I bought traditional Mexican clothes. And a good camera, and I wanted to sell pictures of people dressing up in Mexican clothes, take a picture, print it out in an hour, and sell it. So I was already sitting on the boulevard of Cozumel, and then people passing by, this one person will do it, that person will not do it, and I was making my say, I'm going to be a millionaire. This is the idea of the year. So when I bought everything, I started. And I didn't sell a thing in a day, and I started to make excuses. No, I know it's not the right cruise ship, but I never thought it was my fault. It was a bad idea, or I did wrong. But after 1 week, I hadn't sold one picture. Then I lowered my price from I believe it was $20 to $10. Didn't sell it, and then for $5, within 2 weeks it took, I sold one picture, and I said, okay, this is not a good idea. So I decided to go back to Europe. But in that time, to get money, I also started to give people training in gyms, like a boxing trainer, personal trainer, just to get money. And one of my students there, he invited me to go spearfishing. And as I'm not a native English speaker, I thought we're going on a boat with a rod and reel, and we're going for a fish with a spear, like a billfish. So, but then he picked me up in his Chevy, and we went to the other side of Cozumel, which is very rough, high waves. And he gave me a snorkel, a couple of fins, and a mask. And I had never snorkeled in my whole life. But at that time, again, I had a lot of egos between men. I'm not going to say, I never snorkeled in my life. So I just copied him and put on the snorkel. I went snorkeling with him, and I had to throw up. I got seasick, and I thought, this is terrible. But, I'm a tough guy. And then he went down and he shot a fish. So he went down with a spear gun and shot a fish. I was very intrigued. I was like, whoa, that's super interesting. So we went back to his house, he cleaned the fish, and we put it on the barbecue, and we had food. And I was like, whoa, I mean, I'm from a very civilized country. You go to the supermarket to buy your food, you go to a restaurant. I never thought getting food from nature. And on top of that, it's free and healthy. So the next day, I went to the other side of Cozumel, which is more calm. And I went in just 1 meter of water, and I taught myself how to snorkel. Then I bought my first little spear gun, my fins, my mask, and I started to teach myself how to free dive and how to catch fish. So of course it went from a little fish, bigger fish, etc., etc. And I went at 6 o'clock in the morning and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because I liked it so much. And this is in between setting up the business of photography. So when the photography didn't work, I said, I'm going back to Europe. It doesn't work, but I still was spearfishing in the morning and in the afternoon. And at a point, when I was eating my fish in a French restaurant, there was a tourist and he asked me, hey, I see you with a speargun. Can I join you? And I said, yeah, you can join me. So the next day we went spearfishing off the shore in Cozumel. We came back with fish and he invited me for lunch, which was very nice. And then he gave me $50. But at that time, I had 3 weeks to go back to Holland and I had less than $300 in my pocket. So and then when someone gives you $50, it's like, I mean, whoa, it's amazing. And he said, Leo, you should do something with this. People want to learn how to spearfish. You should make a business. So long story short, I said, I'm going to stay because how stupid was I that I was looking here to live where I want and do work what I love to do. And I found something what I love to do and I did do nothing with it. Okay.
So often it's so obvious that could also be a learning, no? It's so obvious what you're good at or what you enjoy that you don't even think about, I could make a living from that and have the best time of my life.
Exactly. And in real life, you can compare it, for example, when you have your sunglasses on your head, you say, I cannot find my sunglasses. they're right here, right? Yeah. Or you say, when you're calling with someone, say, let me check my phone while you're calling with someone.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So it's exactly the same. I had an activity which I truly enjoyed. And I still wanted to go back to Holland and I didn't get the clarity to say, hey, Leo, stupid man, this is what you love so much. You should stay. You should make this your business. So at that point, it was a really interesting game changer for me to say, because I thought, I'm smart, even though I don't have a university degree, but I'm a smart guy. And I still couldn't see that. So that means there's a lot to learn. And I'm not that smart as I thought I would be, because real life, I would have made a very wrong decision going back to Holland. So long story short, at that point, I started to shoot more fish. Then I started to sell fish illegally, $5 for a trigger fish. And I started to barter as well, 2 trigger fish for a pizza to change my dinner a little bit, no? So but it was really good because back from Europe, I never had complaints about money. There was always money. And here I had to invent myself and say, how beautiful it is that you can do an interaction without money. Okay, so I fish and I get a pizza. So that was really good. So then I didn't have any pictures of my fishing. So I started to Google spearfishing. I made a black and white folder with pictures from Google offering spearfishing trips for $50 because it was my benchmark was the $50 that the client, that person gave me. And I put those flyers in the bar. There was there was internet, but very little internet. There was no Facebook where you can promote, etc. So I put flyers in the bar and it went sky high. People loved it. So what I did is I took people out spearfishing, get the fish, and then I would cook the fish in a restaurant and serve the fish to them. And they went so fast, very big success, that I was able to say, okay, I'm going to stay in Mexico and I want to do it well. So now I need to set up a company and I need to get my papers. I paid half of the paperwork. And then at a certain point when I came out of the ocean with my clients, there was the authority waiting. But everybody, federal police, immigration, the police of Cozumel, the harbor captain, and the boss of immigration, like a prison bus. So they took.
But you already put the papers in, so you already started.
Well, I paid half, so we started the process.
Okay.
But I didn't have a working permit, neither a company. So they took me to the immigration station, and they wanted to send me back to Holland. I mean, this was more than 14 years ago, no? So At that point, the lawyer was able to convince immigration, like, hey, no, he's a good guy. Look, he already paid half of the company. He doesn't have a working permit, but can he stay? Because he's showing that he's doing well. And he said, okay, he can stay, but he cannot work. We're going to look for him. He's blonde, blue hair. I had a tricycle at the time. Everybody knew me. We will look for him. So tell him not to work. So I was okay. But then I'm with my back against the wall because I still need to pay the other half to the lawyer to set up the company, to get my working permit, but I can't work. So at that point, I thought, okay, how can I solve that? Because I don't want to go back. I finally have found what I love. So what I did is at that point, I started to rent boats. So normally I went from shore. I started to rent boats, which I never really wanted because I thought it's a cost. It's a cost extra. And what I did is I went on my bicycle to the north side of the island. I parked my bicycle in the jungle where there's no immigration, no authorities. And the captain of the boat would say hi to the clients, which in European standards is very unprofessional. Yeah, because you need to say, hey, I'm Leo, I'm your guide for today, etc., etc. So there was just a captain who hardly spoke English and said, we're going to pick up Leo, which is weird, no? I thought. So then they went to the north, and then when I saw the boat coming, I jumped in the water and swam from the jungle and hopped on the boat. And this is a very interesting lesson, okay? Because again, in European standards, we think that's bad. No, the guide isn't even here and he swam from the shore. I mean, I already decided by myself that's not good, but it's the only option I have. But guess what? The clients loved it because they thought I was living in the jungle and I came out of my tree to go out with them. They thought I was Tarzan of Cozumel. So this is another breakthrough. We assume things and actually we are creating our reality. I learned at that time that reality does not exist. We are creating reality. Okay.
That's a big one.
It's huge. I didn't realize at the time. I was scared. I said, this is the only way. But reality does not exist. Everybody is creating its own reality. So the reality of me was, oof, I have to apologize to my clients, maybe even giving a discount that I wasn't there. But my clients maybe wanted to pay more because they went out with someone living, a spearfishing man living in the jungle. So that was a very good lesson. And another thing, when the business started to go well, I paid off the lawyer to set up the company, get a working permit, and then I got success, like huge success. I was able to pay my first boat from my propinas, from my tips. Okay, and then the success came, and then of course a lot of jealousy around people. It's like, hey, this foreigner in Mexico has a lot of success. And then again, authorities knocked on the door. They interviewed me with cameras, the militaries with guns pointed at me. At that point, I thought like, wow, this is a very bad situation. And again, I thought, how can I solve this? And they did an investigation: taxes, immigration, illegal fishing. There were six points. Took 3 months to solve it. And at the end, I became friends with those governments. So for example, now when I'm on the water, we are checking where is legal fishing. So the red line through all of this is that we're being put in a situation, and all those negative situations have huge lessons in them. Huge. So the idea is in life, when you're being put or you put yourself in a situation that doesn't sound very positive, where you say, how do I get out of here? Believe and trust that there's a huge lesson in it. For example, another business I started was an airline business. And the first plane that I got in the first commercial flight, we had a hard landing. So we land and it goes like this. And I saw the propeller bended and I thought, you go to a taller and they fix it. And it was at the end, $130,000 damage. Oof. And it was the first flight on the own plane. I was devastated. But then my business partner at that time told me, Leo, this $130,000 damage is in reality a $1 million lesson. And at that point, I just couldn't understand, because you're so visioned about damage. But it's really true, because I see it as college money. Those lessons in life are lessons that you will not be taught at school. Okay, so $130,000 was college money. So how can you, it is like that. So you have to, this is just financial. No? Of course, you have emotional damage, but this was a damage that converted in changing the business model, changing more how to hire pilots, etc., and could have we avoided so much more damage by really rethinking the business. That is really true. So yeah, that is the story. I'm sorry, I talk a lot, no?
No, it was absolutely perfect. So also having maybe when you start a business and having those difficulties at the beginning, as you said, those lessons can also save you a lot of money or a lot of pain or learnings later on when everything is bigger. So maybe having that on the first flight saved you a lot of problems that you would have had maybe later, and then with a lot more investment or bigger company maybe.
And the same, for example, you're talking a lot about relationships. It's the same with relationships. Okay, so you might put yourself in a relationship that is not healthy, or you are in a relationship that's not healthy. What can you learn from that for your next relationship? Okay. So all these things that happen to you, you put yourself in, happen for something, happen for a reason. All the possibilities are out there. Okay. So the universe wants you to be a happy person. Okay. So when you take decisions in your life that go like this, the universe throws you situations and is basically laughing at you. How do you get out of that? And what do you learn from it? And here the key is to have clarity. Okay, so we're obviously, we're always, how can I solve it? But really taking the time. And for example, only 10 minutes a day of meditation will get you that clarity. And you will fly above yourself, fly above a situation, fly above your business. And you'll have the clarity you love about yourself. It's okay, I'm in this situation. I mean, it's easy to solve. You get a piece of paper. I'm in here. Maybe you're creating your own reality. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe you're creating fear when it's not even happening. So, and what could be the possible lesson out of here? And with that, you create a lot of peace already in your mind.
So is that how you handle a fear, or when you have an obstacle, do you write it down and then ask yourself, what is the lesson? Do you journal it, or do you just trust in that in the right moment you get the or?
Well, to start with, fear doesn't exist. Okay. In the way we describe it in 2023. What is fear? If we're here in beautiful Tulum, when you go into the jungle and you find a jaguar at night, you'll have fear, right? So that is real fear. Or we talked about going to the ocean and getting an encounter with a shark or a turtle. That is fear. That is real fear, because you might be in danger. But other than that, all the fear in life, we create ourselves. Okay. So, and that's very dangerous, because the fear is being taught to us by, again, parents, school, Facebook, Instagram, friends, neighbors who tell you, don't do this because this can happen, or etc., etc. So how do I handle fear? First, I evaluate, is it real fear, or is my mind playing tricks with me? Okay. So of course you go, the worst thing that can happen would be this, but it's already bad, because you're already asking for that situation. Okay. So whether it's a business that, you're not flowing, it's not going, or you're in a relationship and you're stuck, no, that partner of me, if I would break up, I cannot pay my rent, or where do I go to? I don't want to go back to my parents. What would my parents tell me if I would break up with this beautiful person? So that's creating fear in your mind. And that doesn't even exist, because if you break up with this person, your parents might be finally.
Could be.
Right? So you're creating your own reality and creating fear. So how do I do with fear? I do write down in major situations. I write it down just to get clarity. And again, meditation is key to have clarity and to really have 10 minutes of time and really see what's going on here.
And I think with the fear also, what is so important, that everybody has the fear, even though you are at that point in life or with that success, then you might have the fear or your mind playing you tricks on a different level. But the illusion that you can do things without the fear, I think we just have to really let that go and say, oh, okay, I feel fear or my mind is playing a game, but I do it anyway. So not letting you hold back from that.
I fully agree with that you should not hold back because of fear. Again, what's the worst that can happen?
You just have to find a solution and then swim into the ocean. That's the worst thing that can happen.
Exactly. But let's say you have a business, right? And you have a couple of years of business, and you finally don't have to borrow money from people, and it's running well. And then you get a new business opportunity, and then you say, "No, I'm not going to do it because I might lose all my money." Great, that's fantastic, because you know how to make money. You already set up a business. So if you would lose all your money, you will get a lesson that is way worse than all your money. Okay. So the fears, again, we are creating in our minds, and fear should not hold you back to move to another country, to break up with your relationship, or to continue with your relationship, right? Or to choose for yourself what you really, really want to do in life.
Yeah. You also have the saying or the slogan, the shit is the caviar, if you have it on here. So what do you mean by that the shit is the caviar?
It is exactly what we were talking about. If you have shit, you should not define it as I'm in trouble, I have a bad situation. It's actually the caviar of life. Okay. So let's go back to where it really comes from. Happiness, through my journey, I discovered that happiness has nothing to do with the car you're driving, or where you live, or what brand of clothes you can afford yourself, or if you're handsome or whatever. Happiness is growth. That's it. So if you realize that you're growing by yourself, not in relationship, but you yourself are growing with more knowledge, you can tell yourself, wow, I became wiser, right? That's happiness. And of course, then happiness, it's like a tree, you get friends, community, love, compassion. But the essence of happiness is growth. And there is no discussion. That's ancient, eternal knowledge. Growth. That's it. So the shit is the caviar. What is it? We're all chasing this dream. Like, you live in Tulum, your friends will tell, oh, wow, that's cool. Oh, wow, you have this truck. Wow, amazing, no? But that's not happiness. So the shit is the caviar is all the situations that we think of are bad for us, that you don't want to share with your family, you don't put on Instagram, is actually a gift. It's the caviar of your life, because of that you will grow. Imagine your life, you're here in Tulum. Imagine you would live here for 50 years. Stable life, stable income, no crazy situations. The light is always working. You can buy whatever you want. That's what we create in society as happiness. But the happiness is that the light should go off, that you have a month that you cannot pay the bills, okay, because you get creative and you can grow. So without the caviar, there will no happiness. Without the shit, there will be no happiness in life. You will never find true happiness. So, and it took me many years to discover. I mean, I'm not a god. I had to discover as well that actually those difficult situations that look so difficult are the situations that can make you grow. You have to grow. There's no other way, and that's what makes you happy. So I'm fine. I have food. I have a roof. There's love. So I have the urge to tell people that don't be afraid. If you're in a situation, it's actually a gift, because of this you can grow, and growth means happiness.
Yeah.
So, and then of course the name, I could do something boring like, but this at least
follow your dream.
It got your attention.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah. And it also works well with your spearfishing and all your diving and the whole story and the business. So I think it's a good branding. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how would you say that, because we talked a lot about following your purpose and being brave and doing the steps, how would you say do relationships, you already said that a little bit, how it was for you in Holland, but how would you say do relationships influence if you follow your purpose, if you go for your business, if you overcome that roadblock, if you get creative? How do relationships, and especially an intimate relationship, influence your journey?
It's super important because, let's say, intimate relationship in a couple, that means in theory, it's the person closest to you next to yourself, no? So that means you trust this person and you value their opinion. Okay, so let's say if you would have a dream and your partner says, but it interferes with our plans. So if they're, in Spanish, say enfrenando, so when they are basically putting the brake on your growth, that could be meant well, but it's from their perspective. It's from their past. It's from their experiences. And so it opens a dialogue. Okay, so like I said, we are not, you don't know everything. So it's always good to talk to your partner. But not always, there are many times there's a secret agenda of your partner that maybe they don't want you to be that successful. Because, or maybe it's been their dream to be successful in a certain area and they cannot do it and you have the balls to do it. So I think choosing the right partner is super important. Not the way they look, not their ambition, what they want to become, but in their values and their respect for you. Okay. So being in a relationship where your partner pushes on the brake because of a secret, you have to be very careful with it.
Yeah.
And those relationships, there are two ways. Or they last forever and you're going to die unhappy. Okay. Or they're going to break up. Then suddenly you have the urge to do what you're really meant for.
Yes.
Then you will break up anyway.
Yeah.
And that's not bad, no? Because, like I said, everybody has a past. Everybody has been raised in a different way. So those fears come from somewhere, no? But I would see it also, if you're in a situation like this, use the situation to also help your partner and open the dialogue, like, why, no? And let that also leave some seeds that other person can think about why they are responding like that.
Yeah.
So your partner is essential in developing your dreams. And from experience, I can tell you that inside of you, you feel, first you doubt yourself. Let's say, I can say I had a partner that was pushing the brake for me. So I want to try this and try this. And for example, sometimes you try a business and it doesn't work out. Okay, so for me, it's no problem. But for the reality of someone else could be like, why you put all that energy in that business? I mean, it might not even work, no? And then, for example, you already have one boat. Why would you buy another boat? You know, one boat is a headache. Or you have a plane. Why would you buy another plane? So for one way, it's good that people are, because you start to think if it's really, really what you want. But on the other hand, a partner should be, if this is Leo's dream, or if this is your dream, they should fully support you.
Yeah. And then also the relationship can grow by itself, and it's so nice because you inspire each other, because you're seeing, that's where you want to go. How can I help you the best to make it happen? But then you really have to be conscious about all the fears that are triggered if your partner really goes for something, or you might have then fear of losing that person, because then everybody else sees, oh wow, that's a great successful guy or girl. Then you also get more attention, so that can trigger a lot in your partner. And if you're not conscious about that, it's
but this is that's a very good point. I would like to add that this is not an open door to find a partner that is similar to you. Okay, because often in life we are looking for a partner. Let's say I'm an entrepreneur. Let's say to look for a partner that's also an entrepreneur, so she or he will understand me. No. On the contrary, we shouldn't look for similarities in our partner. We should look for differences. And that's it's an opportunity to grow how to handle those differences. So for example, if there's an entrepreneur and his partner would work, let's say, at the government.
That's interesting.
Okay? But that would be a great couple, because it's, like I said, also in couples, the happiness is in the growth. Because now you're handsome or handsome, and maybe in 20 years you're not handsome anymore. Okay, so maybe you have a lot of money right now, but in 20 years you might have lost it all. So it's essential that also in couples we understand that the happiness is in the growth, not the way how we look, not on the work you do, not on your ambitions. Okay, and then in couples there should be full transparency. This is what I want in my life. And if there's respect, there should be full support of your partner. But again, don't look for similarities. That's very natural. We do it like that. But look for differences.
Yeah, but somebody working at the government with an entrepreneur, that's really woo.
It's an extreme.
It's next level.
But let's say if they communicate well.
Yeah, okay. Everything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting perspective, because I'm always more like, you should have quite a lot of similarities, but then also have differences and really know how to worship them and celebrate them. Because what I experience also with Reimer often were like that we didn't understand, why are you doing this like that? Why are you acting like that? But then as we really we're diving into it deeper, we realized, okay, you have a different value that has more priority, or you have a different personality, you see the world differently, you have different talents, and now most of the time we are really cherishing and appreciating and also using it now in a business that we have different kind of personalities. But at the beginning it was like, I don't understand you. What's going on? So it's also growth. Yeah, what you say.
Exactly. And I'm sure it made you stronger with him.
Yes, it did. Yeah. So you said that happiness is growth for you. What else is happiness for you? Is there anything else rather than growth where you say, okay, that's for me is real happiness?
Well, happiness, again, it's not just for me, it's for everybody. And if you haven't found out yet, you will see at a certain point in your life, you say, hey, this guy on the sofa was right. We should distinguish what is happiness, and that's overall in your life, and what are happy moments. I call them like sugar rushes. Okay, so let me also tell you how I got into this journey of happiness. When I was able to buy the first owned plane, so in my plane business I was always renting planes. And on the day the first plane arrived in Cozumel, the first owned plane, which even had my name as a tail number. Okay, I had bought a bottle of champagne in the house, and at night I opened up the champagne and was like, okay, I made it. No, I'm a young guy, successful, own plane. Who doesn't want that in life? I opened the champagne and I was in my hammock and I drank the champagne, and I felt nothing. And first I thought, it's because I'm, like adrenaline. But then I realized it didn't make me happy. And then I got upset at myself and I said, what an hole you are. That you got your plane, who doesn't want that? And you're in your hammock in the Mexican Caribbean and you're not happy. So I started to read and study a lot about happiness. So there's a difference between being happy in your life and those sugar rushes. I call it like a sugar rush. Like, hey, I've eaten whole week healthy, and there is this delicious hamburger, or there's this something with sugar, something like a piece of chocolate. That's what I call a sugar rush. So we think in life that if we create those sugar rushes, that creates our happiness. Okay. So you buy your car, you live in Tulum, you eat deliciously. That's what we think creates happiness. So it's like a sum of sugar rushes. But that's not true. The happiness is here. Okay. So for me, if you ask me again, what's for me happiness? I'm happy. I'm in peace. I read a lot. I take care of my body. I study a lot. I meditate. I'm growing. Mentally, I'm growing a lot. And I love it. So I'm very happy. The sugar rushes are, hey, this business is accelerating. Or this person I see growing. I love passionate people who are growing. Or a business didn't work out. I knew it. You, Leo, your intuition already told you, and you still went through, okay, what did I learn from it? So again, happiness for me is, it doesn't matter where I am. That's another thing. People think, I'm moving to Tulum or Cozumel because I'm going to be happy. No, whether I could live in Germany, Holland, Mexico, it doesn't matter. The happiness is here. And living in Cozumel for me is like a sugar rush. No, it's just a circumstance, but it doesn't generate happiness.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So you also said something interesting at the talk that I really liked. What is the difference between motivation and inspiration? I really like that one because it's also a lot about the inside and the outside. No?
Okay. Yeah, that's I got goosebumps again. Thank you for asking. I meet a lot of entrepreneurs. And first they have an idea, they borrow money, they start, and at a certain point they say, I'm so tired of it. I'm working 24 hours a day, and I thought I would get more money, etc., etc. So they asked me, can you help me to get motivated again? And this is very interesting. Motivation is external. So you get motivated by external things. Inspiration is from the inside. So for example, when you start trading Bitcoin or currency, whatever, your motivation is money. I know very little people that say, I'm in love with Bitcoin. I'm so passionate. No, you do it for money.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is motivation. That's an external factor that doesn't come from your heart. Okay. Inspiration could be, for example, the two of you. Okay. You're in a relationship and you're happy. You went through a growth process together. You had your bad times, and you still might have your bad times, but you're growing, and you have the urge to share this with the world. You have the urge to tell couples in the situation we've been there. Okay. You might have your tough moments, but you're inspired by something that comes inside of you. You don't do this for the money. You don't do this because your parents told you to. So what happens if you're in a job? Let's say we find a job, I made it, I went to a university degree and I'm a financial manager or whatever. I'm a CEO of a company. And you do this because the society wants you to do it. Your parents told you, I want you to be successful. Your friends, you want to be successful, your friends. That's motivation. That doesn't come from inside of you. That person will not be happy. Okay. So, it's very, very wise to distinguish for yourself if you are motivated or inspired by something. That's, for example, I don't call myself a motivational coach. I'm an inspirational coach because I'll get from you what's in the inside. Okay. So people don't always like that, but other people change jobs or change profession because with inspiration, you can work 24/7. I'm never tired. And people call me a robot, whatever. I'm never tired. I don't complain working a lot because I'm very much inspired. But if you do it for an external reason, for money, or because your parents expect you to be a lawyer, you get tired. Because your motivation is external. It's something or someone else and not inside of you. If you are a lawyer and you say, you know what? I've been a refugee in this country and they treated me like shit. And I will become a lawyer to help all other refugees. That lawyer will never be tired because he's inspired and not motivated.
Yeah, thank you. I really had to ask that question and share that with everybody because when I heard it, I thought, it's so important to know that because when you start something and maybe a business or also in a relationship or whatever journey you're on, when you get to a point where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, really ask yourself the question, okay, was that motivation I felt before or was that inspiration? And then what do I need to really be inspired?
Correct.
Yeah.
And actually, why life is so good, we're sitting here right now and I never thought about this in relationships. I never thought about it, but now you're telling me this and reminding me of the difference. Let's just talk. Why would you pick a partner? Would you be motivated to be with this partner or inspired to be with this partner?
Yeah.
Motivated is by he or she needs to be handsome. He needs to be wearing this type of brand of clothes. He's from a good or wealthy family. or I'm expected to be in this area of people, or are you inspired to be with someone?
Or I don't want to be alone anymore could also be a motivation.
Exactly. Or am I inspired to be with this person because I truly love the way he thinks about life, or the way he studies, or the way he's developing him or herself? Actually, I never thought about applying this in relationship, but it's very interesting.
It's a good co-creation.
Thank you. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
How interesting.
So what would you say? I think that's always the question that everybody asks. What are the 3 biggest learnings or advices for you that you would give to the Leo that came to Mexico 15 years ago and that almost thought about going back home to Holland because he said, oh, I couldn't make it with the photo business here?
Okay. The first one is clarity, meditation. In my culture, it was people who meditated were cuckoo. They were vegan, lesbian, or gay. I was raised like that. For me, clarity is key, and you get clarity through meditation. So my first recommendation to my younger self, to other people, start looking into meditation. But look at real knowledge. I mean, there's a lot of garbage in TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. Also, a lot of good material. But go to the source. Go and buy books that monks wrote that has knowledge of 3,000 years ago, and those have really good advice on how to meditate. Meditation, basically, there are 2 ways of meditation. One is to get calm, means breath work, just to get calm. The other one is called analytical meditation, and it only has to last 10 minutes a day. And it means, this podcast is not to explain meditation, but in those 10 minutes, you get so much clarity of your life. And again, it's basically flying above yourself and having your heart give an opinion. So you turn off the mind, because the mind can be your friend, but it can also be your enemy. So you tell your mind, you shut up for 10 minutes. I'm going to listen to the heart. Okay. So my first recommendation will be listen to the heart, and get that clarity through meditation. And that will determine the rest of your life. Okay. And do it daily. The second point is, don't be afraid. I took decisions because I was afraid. Whether it's a relationship with a couple, I'm afraid that, what other people are going to say. I'm afraid to disappoint someone or to leave someone alone. I was afraid to stop a business where I didn't feel comfortable anymore, because what would the people say? Leo, close the business. No, that's not very, you want to have on Instagram, he's successful. No, but daring to close a business is also being successful. So number 1 is clarity by meditation. Number 2 is don't be afraid. And number 3 is forgive. And forgive is something that gives you so much peace in life. Forgive yourself of the mistakes you made. Within your couple, you might say things once in a while. You say, oof, that was not very, very nice of me to say. So you can forgive yourself. Or things that you did that were not very nice, you can forgive yourself, but also forgive others. I truly believe that there are no bad persons in this world. So only their acts might be not that nice. Okay. So in business, for example, when there's a competition really copying you daily, I forgive them, because I say, okay, wow, too bad for them, but I forgive them. People who do bad things to you, I forgive them. And it gives you a lot of peace. And let me give you a good example. When I learned that, one time I got lost at sea while spearfishing with clients.
Oh, okay.
So I had a father and 2 sons in the ocean, and I had the 2 sons on my shoulders, and we were swimming, and the captain lost us. So in Cozumel, we have a strong current, and that means that, in 2 days you end up in Cuba when you're lucky.
Oh my God.
So I was there with the family, and, I had to swim back to shore. I knew we wouldn't make it. So I was there. And at a certain point, there was a boat coming. So I start waving, and the boat stops, and I see the captain, and I said, can you please help me? But guess what? I was not in peace with the captain. He was an ex-employee who let my boat sink, sued me, and I was fighting against paying him a lot of money because it felt so unfair. So we were really fighting with each other. And it was exactly that captain,
oh my God,
the only boat who could save not only my life, but of my clients. So I got in my mind like, oh my God, it's this guy. Can you please pick me up? And of course he did. And at that moment I realized you have to be in peace with everybody.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I forgave him. And there are very nice techniques how to forgive people, even for the worst thing that happened to you. And you should really look into that. And one good book I would like to recommend that has a lot about forgiveness is called the 6-Phase Meditation by Visionaire. That explains a lot about how to forgive people and how to love these people. So, and I would definitely be my third recommendation.
Okay. Yeah. Those are 3 big ones. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
So I would like to tell the audience what is the best way if they want to get in contact with you, if they want to know more about your work. You also said you work with people as an inspirational and not as a motivational coach.
Yeah.
So how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah. Well, it's easy through Instagram, shit.caviar. Thank you for accepting Instagram that name because Facebook didn't. Shit.caviar, and through there you can send me a message. I will also publish my book later in the year. It's called The Shit Is The Caviar, with all these stories and way more, and all the life lessons and business lessons in it. So shit.caviar on Instagram is the way to go.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So if you would have a last finishing sentence today for this podcast, what would that be?
I would say perspective. Perspective is something that people, after listening to this podcast, that should stick in their mind. And like we discussed before, you create reality, but you can also bend reality. Okay. So perspective means what we discussed about the boat, and people thought I was living in the jungle. I thought it was bad. They thought it was good. Perspective is really the way to go in life. So when there is a situation, always put yourself in the shoes of another person. So if you're in a relationship and you have your agenda, for example, you come home late after work and you're very excited, full of adrenaline, and your partner says, hey, we were supposed to have dinner. I was waiting for you. Instead of shouting right away, what is the fact? You come home at that time. You are happy because you finished the job, and your partner is upset because you weren't home at dinner. Okay. So the reality we are creating by ourselves, and the perspective is, this is your perspective, and this is another perspective. There's a very nice saying in Buddhism, which actually I live by that. Let's say in English, the good, how's it going? Hold on. The good, it goes something like, no, I have to come back to that. In English, I don't know. But anyway, it is, the reality is here, good, bad. This is the reality. You have to accept that there are other perspectives. Okay. But it goes something like, what's good is good. What's bad is bad. No, I really don't know in English. I'm sorry. But anyways.
Spanish? Or in Dutch, I can't help.
Yeah, no. Anyway, the idea is, the perspective is that there is no good and there is no bad. But the good is good. Yeah, it's like this. So the good is good, and there is no good and there is no bad, but the good is good and the bad is bad. Okay, so that means, in your opinion, that something is really good, it is really good. When in someone's opinion that something is bad, it's really bad. So the good is good, the bad is bad, but it's a matter of perspective. And whether it's in business or in your relationship, there's always another perspective. So in this case of you coming home late, the fact is you come home, let's say at 11:30 at night. That's the fact. and the perspective, what is that different from someone else? No? And if you can accept that, and if you can live by that, it will make life a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know? And for example, if you have a job and your manager is saying, hey, you didn't reach the target, you need to reach the target. And instead of saying, oh, what a jerk, you say, okay, what is the perspective? My perspective, I did my utmost, but this guy has pressure from the owners or shareholders, no? So instead of inside of yourself getting upset and that will not help you, the things will not flow anymore, put yourself in his shoes and say, okay, how can I help or to change his perspective or to get into his perspective? Okay, so for me, perspective is key in life to have peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time, for all the insights. And I'm very happy that you made it here to our podcast and shared your story and all the inspiration with our audience.
Thank you very much. And also from my side, keep doing the good work. I think what you're doing right now, you're just in the beginning. There's not from a commercial standpoint of view, but the obligation when you have knowledge to share the knowledge. We all have that obligation. And so keep on doing that work. And I truly wish you all the best with that, and that you might have a good effect on many, many, many people.
Thank you.
Yeah.